Late Night Grin. Also, what does that name mean?
Yes, indeed, folks. We are back. The Fed 4. It feels like it's been a long time. I think it's actually been a month, but in the new era of Late Night Green Gold, that's like 450 shows. So it's been a long time. We are here for an extensive, intricate, elaborate crown jewel preview program. Bob has told me he has 6 pages of notes. Oracle is counting with his fingers in a sort of violent fashion. I believe he's suggesting the match count, I believe, is what yes, that's what he's doing here. We have visual aids here, folks. Yes, indeed, that's the headline this evening. We have 7 matches to discuss. This is big business. This is big news for those of us that do pay-per-view previews that are expected to go 2 hours. I don't know if anyone else in the world does that, but we do, and we're very happy about this. So, much to discuss. Fed 4 locked in. Bobby, you're alive.
I am. Yeah, it's been an interesting week, but I am back. I'm alive. I got a new mic. Got a new haircut, feeling good, fired up, happy to be here.
Yeah. Oh, is that it? All right. So
Yeah,
I thought you were gonna like go into some sort of Dusty promo then. was the incident on Wednesday impetus to get the haircut? Was that a motivation to see kind of how it all went down? To see 2 people confess to a murder that apparently didn't happen? It was kind of weird, right?
Yeah. It led me to change my ways, and my ways in this instance was my hair.
I love the shirt, by the way. Shout out to Bobby.
Thank you. Yeah.
Look at that's a beauty, dude. Look at that.
Your evil ways, Bob.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Chris Bourdine, an interesting nameplate today. Dennis Stamp being represented on this program for those of you listening at home. Chris, how are you this evening?
I'm good. I'm thankful I was granted an invitation to tonight's show.
So last week we were when we were doing the draft program, and I saw your tweet and I popped, and then when I saw your message, I popped even more because I was like, "That's good actually," because we do have an NBA roster now. You know, the minutes are difficult. The funniest thing about the draft show and the way that lineup worked out was poor Oracle couldn't make it. The real highlight was that Bob did make it and just wasn't on the show. And afterwards, I was sitting there and I was thinking, why did we only have 8 people? We started with 10. Oracle fell out. I was racking my brain about this. And I was like, Manny was out, but Marcus came in. And I realized Bob was there, but he wasn't there. It was really quite incredible. Speaking of such, Bob, do you have any comment on the draft last week?
Yeah, again, I think Shoot should have won. I said that in the moment. I think you're a really nice roster. I just would have went with Shoot.
Thanks, mate. Fair enough.
In all seriousness, yeah, it probably was a good thing I wasn't on because, Shoot and I probably would have just cannibalized each other. So, because I was in the same boat with him. I'm listening and I'm like, I don't know who half these people are that everyone's taken. So,
Shoot play, who went for the TV rights play. The thing I would say is it was kind of cowardly for him to do that. I think that's what cost him. You know, I think people wanted him to stand by his true beliefs, but these are the games we play. Thankfully, Bob will not be standing by his true beliefs this evening. The Oracle of Wrestling. Hello.
Well, I'll tell you what. Come Tuesday evening, I think Bob will show his true colors. Anyways, I'm good. I'm good. I'll tell you what. That first hour of the taped SmackDown was pretty dreadful, but the second hour was pretty good. That 4-way women's match was quite good, actually.
I was very good.
That was.
Yeah. It was very good.
That leads me to promising, promising things ahead for the potential of the 4-way tag match that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, I'm good. I'm very excited that we get to discuss a 7-match card that I'm sure will end at about 5:15 p.m. Eastern time. But I will get to watch the show live because my South Carolina Gamecocks do not play till 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So I will be viewing this show live. I'm very excited for that. And I'm very excited to talk about 7 matches this evening. We probably have some other things we want to talk about. Some unfortunate for the news today, as well as with the big injury that happened this week. But we won't have to fill time with BS as much this week because we actually have 7 matches to talk about instead of 4 or 5. So
we got to make sure we carve out time for Joe Test this time because we didn't last time.
Yes, there you go. Joe Test talking.
I think we should probably intertwine that with the temperature check segment, right? Because that's like one of the big talking points that's actually changed since we've been doing this. So Joe Test will include in that. I guess I don't want to dismiss the release stories because the release stories.
I just figured it would be silly for us not to bring it up considering.
Yes. Would you guys agree? I'll do this kind of loosely and feel free, chat, to chip in, and fellas, you the same. I would say Indy was the most surprising just because she just got back in the rotation for or she was on TV tonight.
Yeah.
I think poor Nixon was less surprising, and that run has been what it's been. Corbin to me feels like I think he's the most talented of the release. I just think he's a victim of circumstance. Unfortunately, he'd run his course by the time he came back. But NXT refueled him, but as soon as he went back to the main roster, there's only so much you can do, I think, at this point with Baron, unfortunately. That's just my kind of broad thoughts. Go for it, Chris.
No, I was going to say, I can't remember when, but I've made this point on here before that if there's people with a lot of Vince stink on them, and Corbin certainly fits that category, Hunter is very he's not very easy as far as finding something for them to do on TV. Like he distances himself from those people.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think Corbin is a good example of kind of the way that you're perceived. The push will shape much of that. He was terribly overexposed and put in the wrong role.
Yes.
And as a result, I think for many people, the book had been, completed on him many years ago. I think that's not really indicative of his skill set, but that's just the reality.
It's unfortunate because I think a lot of people started to grow on him in the last year in his NXT run, but I think he was a good worker. Not a really good worker, but he was a good worker as late as late 2016, early 2017.
I agree.
Yeah.
But he was so overexposed because that Callisto match at TLC was his first breakup match where he legitimately looked excellent. And when he was put in the right position, in a mid-card program or whatever, even when he was doing the King Corbin stuff and feuding with Chad Gable and the Shorty, which was terrible, and Bobby defended it, lest we forget. But
lest we forget.
Those types of things are fine. The deal where he lost all his money and turned it, that shit was great too. The McIntyre feud went too long, but I mean, but when he was Constable Corbin, and then he became Commissioner Corbin basically, Constable Corbin was awesome for about 2 months, and then it was just he was constantly overexposed and he was.
And then they made him the kayfabe reason why the show was bad.
Correct. Yeah. He was very much a Vince casualty. He was. It's unfortunate because the guy has some talent.
I always thought he'd have been a great tag worker, and I think we saw that with Braun. He's to me is perfect as a tag team wrestler. He has cool offense, but he's kind of bland. You could dress him out with a partner. That was, they only did it with him with Braun, unless I'm mistaken. I don't remember him having any other tag runs beyond that. So it's a shame.
Wasn't he in the first? He was in the first Dusty way back in the day, wasn't he? With someone Rhino or something?
Yes, Rhino. Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of those matches. The match with American Alpha is one with the all-time great End of Days, right? Where he like gets him on the spin. I was there for this. Jason brings it up. The great night in Paris where he was the most over babyface on the roster for some reason. An all-timer. Will live long in my memory. I know that popped him very much. Look, for all the discussion we just had, he had a hell of a run. He was there for. He got called up 8 years ago, nearly 9 years ago. So, Bob, any other thoughts on the releases, mate?
No, not really. Just kind of like we covered. Like, they weren't super surprising. It was a good run for Corbin. Yeah, really just shitty injury luck for Nixon and. Indy, she's still young. She could still come back. We've seen that before, and we'll see how it goes.
I know that Indy has a lot of support from within the industry. Yeah. I think there'll be a lot of people trying
I
to
could see her showing up with GCW or something with.
She has a personality that I think will.
You know what I mean? Like I could see her doing something with Steph DeLander or something like that. Like,
she has a quirky personality that I think will. She'll probably have some fun stuff in there. I can't pretend I was like super, fond of her as an in-ring talent, but that's whatever. I think she'll find a role wherever that may be. So we have a couple things here to discuss, couple highlights. Beyond that, our friend Jake, member for 2 months. We're getting to that point now, which is very, very cool. Thank you for the support, folks. And Jake in particular, he says, "Oh, how we're so back. Let's grin. Things of that nature. Hope Bobby was able to fill out his absentee ballot before the events of this past Wednesday. No, it's a big week for him." Bob, any comment?
No.
Fair. It is important that we stress, now this is key, right, Bob? You and I discussed this at length when we killed Bob off. He was worried it was going to affect his payday. And I said, you have to remember the hanging with Holbert cinematic universe is a separate thing, right, Bob? We have to establish that. So if you really want to follow up on whether Bob's dead or not, you're going to have to watch the Christmas special here in a couple of months. And I don't know yet either. I haven't figured out what that's going to
be. I hate to break the fourth wall, but do you remember when the family guy killed off Brian the dog?
Yeah.
So when we killed off Bobby, we got a lot of hate mail and stuff, and we had to bring it back. And we didn't really want to, but
my favorite thing was the first. I think it was Colt. The first comment on the video when we uploaded it was like, it was Bob, and it just popped me huge the idea that Bob was the lead suspect for a group, and in reality he was the victim all along. Popped me huge. But yeah, Oracle with the cement and such. That was a pretty violent situation.
That was.
We appreciate the fault, Jake, very, very much. And we have a new member, Matthew Allen, new member. Welcome to the team, bro. Welcome aboard. We hope you enjoy the grins, of which there'll be a big one tomorrow afternoon. There you go. That's a good point, actually, Bob. What should we do the thumbs up button?
Smash that like button.
There you go. Tomorrow, big grin. If you're an LNG Gold member, we're doing the Crown Jewel Grin along. I have no idea who's on that show because it's at like noon, I think. So, or 1 p.m. Eastern. So, we'll let it play out. I'll be there. I know that much. I think Caden Lee will be there too. All right, let's do our favorite part of the month. It's time to talk temperature. Let's get a read on this situation here. This is where, if you feel so inclined, you can go full Joe Tess. What I'm asking is, I'll start with you, Bobby. A read on the World Wrestling Federation, your interest in the World Wrestling Federation in the last month or two. Go for it.
The last month in particular, it has been a little tough just because football and baseball have been on so much, and I do tend to watch those. I don't love the 2-hour Raws. Everything kind of feels a little too like it. Nothing really gets room to breathe. Like it's a 3-hour roster, and I don't think they've really figured it out yet. But at the same time, it seems like a lot of people are enjoying it. I've watched all the Motor City Machine Guns matches. I think those are the only actual full matches I've watched from there this month. But other than that, they've been good. They won the tag titles, the big thing. And it's just it's been good. This is the time of year, and we'll get into this a little more when we talk about the two Crown Jewel Championship matches too. I was so turned off by the Raw champion against SmackDown champion concept that I'm not going to pay that much attention to this month outside the clips. But I'm excited for this show. I'm excited for the Road to Survivor Series. So it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be. It just, it's peaks and valleys.
Sounds like you're done, bro. You got an MLW season pass or something?
I'm excited for this show.
Uncle Eric.
Yeah.
I'm going to SmackDown in 2 weeks, I think, which is the funniest part of all this. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
I mean it's fine. I'll be back in after tomorrow.
Make sure nobody takes your tickets this time, Bobby.
Yeah, I know. 6 weeks to get my money back.
I'm sorry, I just I had a momentary distraction. Chris Bordine, tell us about your own read on the situation as of right now, and feel free to go Joe Tess here.
Like Bob, I've been a little bit distracted as of late, but I'm really excited for the show tomorrow, and this Bloodline thing is it's the craziest thing that through multiple points over the last 3-4 years, like just when I think I'm done with it, like they find a way to bring me back in and be in. Now I'm like ultimately invest, like that's what I'm looking forward to each week. There was the one weird taped Raw, and I'm like, it was the week after it was the Monday after the one SmackDown where they beat Jimmy and Roman, and Jimmy's like, we need help, Oos, we need help. And I'm like, well, it's a taped Raw, so there's not going to be anything. So I didn't watch Raw that week. And then I'm on the timeline and they're like, oh, Jimmy showed up to Raw and confronted Jay. And I'm like, oh, what the hell? But yeah, no, I'm excited for that stuff. I'm glad that it's, as stupid as those belts are, that aren't going to leave the country.
Yeah.
I'm glad there's at least a prize now for these champion versus champion matches instead of, brand supremacy. Yeah, but I'm still pretty high on the product, and yeah, Joe Tess has been amazing on Raw. I've loved having him there. I love the way they start Raw now with like a football game where it's him and Barrett kind of on camera giving a rundown of what the show is going to be that week. And I think he's fitting really well. So
he seems to have got rave reviews. Tape is quite mad. Oracle, you've seen this, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Tape is very mad about this Joe Tess situation. But he seems to have got very positive responses. Oracle, you were hesitant, you were cautious. What have you made thus far?
So, when he first started, I thought he was pretty bad at calling matches. In the sense of like he didn't know how to fill in the sort of air, the sort of dead space you have to when you're doing the play-by-play when you come from. That's the hardest thing to do. It's just hard because you have to try to learn things and whatnot. You kind of have to learn, you have to learn the banter, not like even if he knows the corporate banter, you kind of have to learn that. Well, he's kind of found his footing, and he's doing like as Tape has complained, the screaming stuff. But I think that's kind of Tess's strength, is to like be sort of histrionic and like be sort of excited.
he's got a little David Crockett in him.
Yeah. There you go.
My God, that rules.
And to be fair, like Tape has never really. This is and we all love Tape, but he's not a fan of the of that style, and he's very honest about that. Very much. He prefers a more grounded. Commentary, I think.
I love the way we talk about Tape, the way that Ibou tweeted about Oracle that time when he said, I heard this was outstanding. We talk about him like he's Meltzer, as we should. I'm proud of us. Good for us.
I mean, Tess is awesome. He called the horrifying heartbreaker that South Carolina had against Alabama a few weeks ago, and he of course, did an awesome job in that game. I think his best calls so far have been the last Monster Standing. He was great. That's kind of the one that stands out the most to me. Oh, and the Jey Uso title win. Those are the two that I think were like his two best calls so far. Were that and the Jay beating Braun for the IC title last month.
the Jade title win was a magical moment, wasn't it? It was
incredible.
Cool.
Literal attitude era pop when he won.
Yeah,
by the way. That was incredible.
It was. I mean, we'll get to talk about the Bloodline match. Jey Uso's star power. I actually think whatever you think of his matches and the character, we're only just starting to grasp how big a star that dude actually is. He's one of their biggest stars. He's a genuine attraction for them right now. It's insane. I can't believe that's real, but it is.
That's a good shout. He was Tess went was marking out, but like in a positive way over the Bianca EO match, which was great last month.
Yes, too. When it exploded on the big dive, he was losing his shit. Right, that was awesome. Where are you at broadly, Oracle, on the product? Go for it.
So football on, which always hurts. The 2-hour Raws, I got to be honest, I actually don't even entirely disagree with Bobby in the sense that like there seems to be something missing from the formula. But when I can get through a 2-hour Raw in 45 to 55 minutes, and still actually catch a lot of the segments and backstage segments and all the matches, that's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
And even with a 3-hour Raw that was decently paced sometimes in the last year or so, it would take me like 90 to 100 minutes to get through. That is a significant difference, and that is my preference. It's so much. It's such a breeze to get through now. So much. And I would rather have that than like, they could still do, they could still sort of tweak the formula a little bit and make it better. But, I would rather just have the 2-hour show. I mean, I know the fun's going to end in January and we're going to be back to 3 hours.
But I think it will be, I hope it will feel different on Netflix. You know what I'm saying?
I hope it will. And I also hope it's not just we got to do 3 hours every week. Yeah. My dream is that they just go, one week they just go, well, we're going to do 1 hour and 47. And then another week they're going to go, you know what, we're going to do 2 hours and 30 minutes.
That interesting.
Another week we're going to do 2 hours and 11 minutes. That's what I want them to do. I don't think that they'll do that, but I would love. Did you
see Dolph's quote about that, where he was like, "This could allow for something really interesting," because Dolph was saying when you go out to work a TV main, say there's 20 minutes on the clock, left of the show, the people know how long's left of the show, right? He was saying with Netflix, you could in theory get to a point where people don't know when the show is going to end, so the main events have even more. The heat could be different. Right?
I mean, like on a really big episode, like you could do a couple in the summer, one big like season premiere in the fall or something. You could do a few that could go like 3 hours and 10 minutes, maybe.
Yes,
but you don't want to go over 3 hours consistently. That's a dangerous, precedent to set. But like, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely with you. That's a good point. Like, they could do something really interesting with this, and it's a pretty critical launch, and we'll talk about it more as we cover Survivor Series next month and whatnot. But yeah, it's we're getting to that point. We're only 2 months away now, which is crazy to think.
Yeah, and I think I only following clips. That's always been the case since doing these shows. But like me personally, I definitely am in a bit of a. I'm just gonna kind of. To me, it's not that important until we get to
every September, October, until about the last week or two. Build the Survivor Series. It's always been like this ever since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Partly because, I mean, I started watching football when I was 9 years old. And, I mean, football was always, captured my attention greatly growing up.
Yeah.
But, like, there was also, it always bled into the Raw ratings, right? It always kind of diverted. Even WWE was aware of that. And there was a lot of, using a football analogy, punting, right? Until Survivor Series time. Until the new year going into the Rumble. So that feels like that's what they're kind of doing here. Another thing is, as I go and do another long spiel, like usual, is that we've gotten to the point now, and this is where I'll bring up, the other unfortunate news is like we have these long rivalries, right? This Bloodline stuff, which they've done a very good job with getting the Usos and Roman back together. Obviously, Sammy's probably going to join that team, and that'll be the War Games, whatever. But the repetition and the ongoing formula for these very similar looking segments. Solo Sikoa and his bloodline beat down Roman and so on and so forth. Tiffany Stratton teases a cash in on Nia, which, let's talk about how we very much hope that she actually does it tomorrow and we can move on from this bit. And lastly, and this is what I want to talk about, and we'll pitch everybody on their thoughts here. The Rhea Liv feud. It felt like I'm still convinced it was possibly going to end at Saturday night's main event, with Rhea with a broken orbital bone, which apparently is a shoot on the headbutt to Raquel. Couple things. One, sucks. Two, creatively, it's not good because this could be an endless situation. And three, Rhea Ripley's fine. She's Teflon always as a star, but it sucks because of her injury proneness.
Yeah,
it's not a good thing. And I will say, from a positive standpoint, it's not positive to keep getting hurt, but thank God Vince McMahon isn't in charge anymore, because one of his biggest pet peeves was when people kept getting hurt. And sometimes he was pretty much like throw him in the waste bin, about it. And so
you just have to hope it's a freak situation, because that does happen.
But it's just, I just know with Rhea, she's been hurt like twice a year, 2 or 3 years in a row, and it's
for sure.
As her being my favorite, one of my 2 or 3 favorites on the entire roster, it's a little bit of a bummer and concerning. I mean,
the timing here is brutal because
it sucks, man. Because selfishly from a creative standpoint, it's like this feud just desperately needs to end. It's just it's gone on too long.
It's too hollow for this to go this long. That's the thing. It's I
don't know what are your thoughts on the Rhea situation and the Rhea feud?
I think broken orbitals can be kind of, from my understanding, can differ greatly in terms of lymph recovery. I think there's a chance she still makes.
Eddie have one, or was it Eddie that had one? Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, Eddie had one. Yeah. Hopefully, she could still make Saturday night's main event, and she could even do the gimmick where she wrestles in the mask, which she could probably do a really cool look with, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Bob, anything on that, mate?
No, I mean, it does suck because, it did kind of feel like we were approaching maybe the end of this story here. Now, we still could be, like you guys said, but it is kind of delayed, and it kind of just, as a result, throws everything else into a flux.
Not to create an argument with Trusted Process here, but I will say this for and in our chat, Trusted Process, laugh out loud Sixers.
Not the Sixers rebuild process. Oracle's not arguing.
Rhea was legitimately one of my favorite wrestlers in the ring in the company from the middle of 19 till 2019 to about the middle of 2021. However, her in-ring, although I do think is very good, and she's had a couple of really great matches, including the Charlotte match, which I do think is a classic at Mania. Her in-ring has not been what I would call igniting the world on fire.
No.
I don't think it's been bad. I think it's been pretty disappointing. I will say that. I will admit that.
On the main roster, I don't think Trust the Process is that far off, which is frustrating.
I agree. I'm basically agreeing with, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I think she doesn't have a lot of, I seem to remember sort of criticizing the fact that she's not someone who has the ability to sort of lead a match and carry someone. I remember sort of being critical of her about that last year in the Raquel program when
she has on the main roster her best matches. Obviously, Charlotte. The Natalya TV match is really good.
That was great. Yeah.
The Becky Mania match is good.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I would begin. Now on NXT, I like the Shayna match, I like the EO match. Yeah. There's some others, but I still am a pretty big believer in her work. I just think sometimes, these things happen, and I think some of the opponents have been pretty rough, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
And even like opponents, like I think Liv and Rhea can definitely have a good match. I don't think with Liv as the heel, it's necessarily going to come to fruition, personally. But I don't know. It's an interesting one. Definitely, that's been a growing sentiment and kind of frustration with Rhea's output. But it's definitely a blow to not have her around for a minute. Chris, where do you stand on this kind of this situation they're in with the Liv story, right? It's pretty challenging.
Yeah, it really sucks. I think they would have been better off if they wanted to extend it, flip-flopping the belt a couple different times. Like this is one. I think this is a scenario where they could have gone like Charlotte and Sasha in whatever year, the 2016, 2017, whatever that was, where they traded the belt back and forth a few times. I thought you could have gone that route here, maybe and that would at least not make it feel like it was such running in place all the time.
Yeah.
Because after the Bad Blood match, then it was kind of like, all right, so when are we finally going to get our comeuppance here? And so that's a bummer now that we seemingly got to wait even longer for that.
And the Raw division is not really built for that delay either. So I'm sure their plan isn't going to be a long. I mean, I'm going to save this for the conversation about Liv and Nia. I think these divisions need some pretty serious help, to be honest with you. And
yes.
I don't watch closely, and like maybe I'm missing, but I think it's kind of crazy, to be honest with you, the position they're in some of these women's divisions. But that's just me. We'll get to it. First, we have a couple of things to handle. Mid-take super chat, thank you very much. Had a rough day today. Sorry to hear that. Sincerely, I know sorry to hear that's like a bit we do, but actually sorry to hear that. And always in the mood to Grin. Appreciate you. Everyone's take on the babyface Roman project as far as storytelling goes. We'll do this now because it's super chat and mid-take is at a rough day. This will we'll focus on other things when we talk about the match itself. I think it is pretty slapdash, to be honest with you, and I think it could be much better. Yeah. I like Roman Reigns a lot. I think he's very cool, and the crowd agrees. But I don't think that is necessarily indicative of a well-told tale in his part. I think Jey Uso, to me, is doing the heavy lifting and then some in terms of the Bloodline business as of right now. Bob, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like, when he first came back, the whole Roman babyface thing was working a lot better. You know, Bloodline would beat him down. He'd kind of get to be in peril a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, in the past month or so, he hasn't really done too much. I'm kind of interested to see how the match goes tomorrow and how the build to what we presume would be, you know, War Games match will be. Because, yeah, there's still some stuff he could be doing, I think. And I think he's capable of it, obviously. But it would be nice to see kind of as we keep evolving here.
Chris, I would say on this panel, and I probably would be second in this regard, you're the high man on the Bloodline stuff, and I know you watch more closely than I do. What have you made of Roman since returning at the SummerSlam?
I've enjoyed it. Actually, tonight's segment did a lot for me as far as because I'm glad that they addressed it on Monday between Jay and Jimmy, but I was still like, okay, there's a little bit more work that needs to be done here for me to like be all the way in on the three of them reuniting. But I thought tonight's segment did a much better job of like making it more feasible of you know, Jay basically being like, either you're going to treat me as an equal or I walk, you know, because, you know, I'm basically just here important. Exactly. Yeah. So that part I'm glad. It still was a little bit easier than I thought it was going to be, but I'm thinking now, I think Sammy's going to be the one that's going to take the most time to convince.
Yeah.
And not Jay, which is going to be interesting in its own right. So, but no, I've enjoyed it so far. He hasn't really. He's not doing I'm a babyface now, so I'm going to change everything. Like, he's still Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. He's maybe a little less of a dick. But you know, he's not like, you know, fired up babyface or anything like that. So,
which I do think was important, right? There's such a negative connotation to Roman Reigns as a babyface, as a character at least. I think that was important. Oracle, what have you made of Big Rome as a babyface thus far?
It's okay. You know, the reactions have been cool and stuff, but it's done so well so far, and business has only gone down, you know, just a little slightly in the fall. that they're not going to stop anytime soon. But I do have the sort of, I'm not like, I don't dread the segments, but I'm just kind of like, all right, Bloodline, whatever. At this point, but they've done a decent job with bringing the Usos and Roman back together. I thought the segments this week were pretty strong, actually, the ones on Raw and the one tonight. I think the sort of segments, to convince Sammy will be pretty good going into Survivor Series. Roman is just a little bit more, I don't know. The way that he's sort of playing it is just kind of Jimmy and Jay are sort of, it's not so much his fault, it's just that they're sort of carrying the storyline so far, and Roman's just kind of going along with it. I don't know. I honestly don't hate it. I'm clearly a little apathetic towards it, but I'm not like
I'm
somewhere in the middle, totally negative on it or anything. I think it's fine. I did think the stuff this week was pretty well done. In fact, I really liked the kind of silly, but it always works, and especially in WWE with the production of like Jimmy and Jay meeting outside and Sammy, the background they like the camera pins in.
I like
Sammy's like talking to Solo in the car. Like stuff like that always pops me because the production, because it's so over the top, because that's what wrestling should be, in my opinion, especially WWE sort of sports entertainment stuff. So that stuff's always entertaining.
Jumanji Hunter. Sorry, I can finish with something.
Oh no, I'm just, I don't know. I don't want to be repetitive like Triple H's booking. So
Jumanji Hunter has been a member for 2 months and is not apathetic on this matter, is not in the middle, and says firmly, people cheering a man going back to his abuser. Disgusting. Roman is a terrible character with great surrounding parts. Bob, you've been saying this for years, brother. What do you think of Jumanji Hunter joining your team on this one?
I mean, it's a fair point. I don't agree with it, but I could definitely see the mentality behind it.
I am a Roman Reigns defender. What I will say is I do think the Bloodline's most interesting elements often come from around him. Now, whether that's necessarily representative of him being a bad character or not, I don't know. But it's interesting. It's interesting. It's people always feel strong about Big Rome. When he came back as a babyface, I wondered if that would change, and it's not.
I'm just thankful this is all happening without the belt involved.
Oh yeah,
good call. Very good call. Yeah. Couple super chats from Chi-Town Spurs. Thank you, brother. He says, bet the farm on South Carolina tomorrow. What do you reckon?
Go Cox.
Go Gamecocks.
I think we have a pretty good chance. Yeah,
actually.
I think it's about a 50-50 game there.
Chi-Town Spurs also asks, by the way, I joined late. How is Bob alive? And to that, I'll say I was slightly distracted at one point in the program, as without naming names, someone who allegedly was involved in Bob's murder asked, and I quote, "Why is Robert O'Neill on the show? He's dead." And then, most threateningly, and Bob, you should be concerned by this, he said, "I'll fucking do it again, bro." So, you might want to watch your step, to be honest. That is what I was distracted by at the start of this program. So, I can't answer it, but other people are asking the same question, and they are willing to act upon it. So, keep that in mind. Ibou is here.
I'm sorry, I just read this, and Ibou's writing style is popping me huge.
Yeah, insane. Hefty super chat, too. Hefty super chat from Ibou of Wrestle Purist here, who says Cody and Gunther equals underrated content. Filler premise calls dismissal, but there's been strong turd polishing, framing this as a dream match, setting up a validation W for Gunn, which is Gunther for those of you watching at home, peeling back Cody's psyche and revealing he's troubled.
That sounds like a film review.
It does. Very strong. Ibou at it again there. We'll talk about it. We will see if it is indeed underrated content. We'll see if this has been strong turd polishing and things of that nature. Thank you, Ibou. I hope you're well, bro. All right. Should we talk about some of these wrestling matches? Hold up. We're going to have a super chat. Mid-takes. Watch Tanahashi versus AJ Styles today, and man, it's a top 3 AJ match ever. Love the review, Joe. Thank you very much. Thoughts on Eddie, Kenny, Cope, and Sting helping Darby, much like Cody at WrestleMania 40. I think it could work really well. That's an interesting, like, it's difficult because it would be such an obvious, you know, but I do think Sting should definitely be involved.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Wheeler Yuta does a run in and the lights go out and Sting kicks the shit out of him. That'd be the easiest pop ever, right? I would say definitely Sting.
Revolution, maybe? Perhaps?
Well, I think it's going a lot longer than that, but I would do Revolution, yes. I would say Eddie would be second in terms of priorities for this particular thing because the Moxley link. But I like the idea. AJ Tanahashi is an incredible match also, yes. Anything on any of this, fellas, before we look at some wrestling matches on this show?
Just got to make sure Eddie and Cope can walk by the time that
bro. I will say Eddie is, I think Cope will be back soon.
Yeah.
But King, I think, is going to be a while. I'd shoot for not Wembley, wherever they're doing it this year. Dallas.
Yeah.
I'd shoot for that for Eddie.
Think about this. Let's just consider this. Imagine if one of the four of us tore our leg into shreds, and then subtract that by about 6 months, and then that's how long it took for Eddie to get back on his feet. Because he's actually has some semblance of exercise, at least when he from bell to bell.
Yeah,
unlike the four of us. So
he's a scrapper, bro. I miss him desperately. I really do.
Oh yeah. That promo where he cut that promo about Danielson on his couch with his beard and shit.
And they advertised it like he was going to be there live, and it was just him sitting there like, oh, here's what I think. What an absolute beast. All right, let's dive in. Thank you to everyone with the super chats. Bob, watch the people do the like button.
Yeah, smash that like button.
WWE Women's Tag Team titles. We have the defending champions, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. They are taking on the damage control duo of Kairi Sane and Io Sky, as well as the Meta 4 pairing, Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson, who recently have made the move to the main roster, so it seems. Got a big win, did Lash against Piper Niven, and also in the match is Piper Niven and Chelsea Green of Twitter.com fame. This is a fatal 4-way match, and is a pretty big spot for this belt, to be honest with you, because they don't get a ton of these opportunities. I mean, they were on the Glasgow show, but that was a hometown spot for Alba and Isla. Fatal 4-way. I'm told tonight's TV match went well. There seems to be optimism, Oracle. Who you got? What you thinking? Go for it.
So, let me just say this. Triple H has grinded and grinded and grinded. The grind, as he likes to say. To try to make this women's tag division something, and it appears he's found it. This is not going to light the world on fire. Let's we're not going to say this is the greatest thing in the world, but they're getting reactions.
Good.
Io and Kairi are getting babyface reactions that are audible and noticeable on television. Bianca and Jade are very over. Chelsea Green has gotten herself very over.
Definitely.
In recent months, since the summer, with her great Money in the Bank performance, and then the really fun TV feud with Michin. And Lash and Jakara, although very green, Lash Legend has a lot of promise, in my opinion.
Yep.
And they are an interesting team to call up. Because, honestly, I wouldn't have thought that they would ever call Metaphor up as early as some others. That sounds insulting, but I don't really mean it in that. It's sort of like a... You also don't realize how long they've sort of been in NXT, because they've both been there for... I think Lash has been there for like 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
But they both have very good personality, which is the biggest strength you can have if you're going to move up to the main roster. And again, Lash not only has personality, but she has promise in the ring. She has that crazy finisher that looks weird, but like is kind of good. Where she does that weird like inverted Samoan drop or whatever and drops him. But so the players in this are pretty over for the most part. The 4-way was very promising tonight. Lots of good spots, good close calls. Everybody had decent chemistry for the most part. Crowd got into it. I mean, EO has been tremendous this year. Just an absolute. When I do my top 50 for the Fed this year, she's clearly going to be like she might be like 2 or 3. You know.
Wow,
Like
there you go.
She's been that good this year, just tremendous. It's finally working a little bit here. This tag division stuff, you know. They tried with you know they did the Alba and Isla stuff, didn't work as well, right? They tried the Caden and Katana stuff, didn't work that well. They tried the Pure Fusion Collective, didn't go over very well. But this stuff with the Sky Pirates, this stuff with you know, Jade and Bianca anchoring the division, bringing up a new NXT act, Chelsea Green and her ability to you know to play out the baby faces with her shtick, and Piper's excellent in the ring and has good shtick herself. This has been a surprisingly well put together match, and a match I'm legitimately looking forward to. I think this will be good. I think Bianca and Jade retain here. I think that's the best choice is for them to retain. I think there's a chance Io and Kyrie win, but I don't want that because then you know because I want to believe in the pipe dream of Ibou fantasy booking that Io wins the strap here pretty soon. But I think Bianca and Jade win in a good match. Maybe not a great match, but a good one.
Interesting. I was wondering. I mean, I haven't followed this closely. I was wondering this could be the spot to get the belts off of Bianca and Jade, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see which direction they go. Chris, how are you feeling about this matchup?
I'm not thrilled that it's a 4-way, and it's not because I'm against them. It just feels like with a division this shallow, it feels like you're just putting, you're just putting all your contenders in one match, and then, and that's why I kind of feel like Bianca and Jade lose because it's like they mentioned it on commentary, like the multi-team matches are kind of their Achilles heel, because that's how they lost the titles the first time in that triple threat.
That's so bad, by the way.
Right?
Your Achilles heel were matches where they may not get pinned.
Awesome. And I just feel like if they were to win, like again, like where do they go from here? Because these are the 3 other best teams that they could face. I kind of want to, like, part of me is just like, just throw the belts on Lash and Jakara and see what happens.
See what happens.
Yeah. You know, especially because like everyone has said, we're kind of hoping for bigger and better things for EO. Chelsea and Piper would be fun with them as well. But I mean, yeah, just throw them on the rookies and see what happens.
I am actually going to go with Chelsea and Piper, I think. I have no reason. I mean, the thing that's fun about matches like this, and this is kind of a backhanded compliment, but I think you guys have got what I mean. The reality is anyone can win because, like, the belts are not, it's not exactly the world's title, right? Respectfully. I kind of think maybe they just give, Chelsea's been such a huge, kind of boost for the mid card. Her having a sort of, I know our friend Steve always talks about her as like a honky tonk man character with a belt. I could see them having some fun with that. And maybe, I feel like they've got to get the belts off Jade and Bianca soon, right? Because, like, we're almost, if you look at it on the Triple H timeline, dude, like, we're getting on the road to Mania soon here, we're not far off. So, very interesting. Bobby, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with Oracle. I like all the pieces here. I think Jade and Bianca are going to retain. Someone in the chat mentioned it. I think Bayley and Naomi might team up and then take on Jade and Bianca, and they might just lose them in just a regular, tag match, and that starts the cracks for Jade and Bianca. And then I know they kind of teased tension with Bayley and Naomi before, but that can kind of be brought back to whenever. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad it made the card, honestly, because like I said, it's a lot of good pieces here, and I think this could really have some, like you said too, it's not going to be, mind-blowing stuff, but it could be really solid, really fun, entertaining, 12 minutes or so.
Huge opportunity for Metaphor, right?
Yeah.
Huge match for them. Hopefully they kill it. That will be hopefully a fun one tomorrow night. The next one will get an interesting reaction from the panel, and I know Ibou's excited. Bronson Reed of Bam Bam Bigelow fame has transformed himself and is now one of the premier monsters in professional wrestling. He will be battling Late Night Grin favorite Seth freaking Rollins in a match that, I will be honest, a year ago would have probably caused me to just not be on this program, but they've actually got my attention with this. I'll be honest, I'll be fair, I call it down the middle. I'm intrigued by this because Bronson Reed has got a big time shove and he's making the most of it and he's got himself over, and more importantly, he's got his finish over. Now it's time. Let's see what this looks like, because the Saudi crowd is going to be really into Seth, so it should be easy to get heat. This is it, brother. Now or never. I'm sorry, I'm not usually doing the legacy game shit because I think that stuff's kind of lame and people do it for wrestlers that their legacies are absolutely solidified. Bronson Reed, I think he decides how high he is on this card with this match. Legitimately. That's my personal read on it. I think he wins, which is why I think it's really important that he's on point and he's the monster they need him to be. This ain't the time for cartwheels or any of that shit. Go out there and kill him, dude. When you have room on offense, aggression, intensity, lay the shit in, make it look good. Bob, I got Bronson Reed in a hugely important match. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm with you. He put Seth out with the 6 tsunamis. It would be kind of lame for Seth to just come back and beat him. If they want to have it be, more than one match, yeah, maybe. But I think Bronson needs to win tomorrow. I think you're right on the nose about it solidifying him. He won the Braun feud in between, Seth not being around, kind of keep him hot. And yeah, this is it for him.
Should be noted, Braun did win the blow-off because of Seth, though, we should know. Which
True.
Makes it even more important that he win here. And I don't think it would hurt Seth after coming back from an injury. The question is, Chris, do they pull the trigger to Seth Rollins lose to Bronson Reed on pay-per-view? What do you think?
I think he does if the match even gets started.
Oh.
7-match tease, but they don't deliver. I can't wait for the Ibou tweet when that happens.
I would not rule out them doing some sort of thing where before the match even starts, it gets too out of control and they they call it a no contest or whatever.
We can all see this in our head right now, right? We can imagine this. We can hear Cole's call of that. That's tremendous. Maybe.
Look, one of these matches is going to be obscenely short. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ibou. I'm sorry. Yeah, they could do it with Owens.
Hold on, fuck you do it with Owens and Randy. What the fuck are you talking about? Don't do it with Owens and Randy. That's the match I'm most looking forward to, you piece of shit. Do it with Bronson Reed. All right. Sorry, Chris, as you were saying. All right. Chris, so is your actual prediction Bronson Reed, Chris? Just
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Bronson Reed has to win. He injured Seth originally, and while Seth has returned, he laid Seth out at the end of their confrontation on Raw this past week, so he should be still a little banged up heading into this match. And yeah, you got to give the win to Big Bronson Reed here.
It's a huge match for him, Oracle. You and I have always been big supporters of Bronson. This is a big one, mate. We're not going to be able to sleep tonight. The nerves, you know what I mean? It's tough. How confident are you, Oracle?
Well, I mean, listen, the booking of Bronson Reed has been excellent the last 3 months. It absolutely has. He has done his job to get himself over. But you're right. If I see an ounce of 2019-2020 Bronson Reed NXT shit, it's over. I can't sit here and watch this fat guy do cartwheels. I can't do it. He's gotta wrestle like a big guy. He's gotta dominate. he's got to do fat man offense and do
splashes,
his, tsunamis and make his mean faces and throw people around and fucking no sell shit. Like that's how he's gotten over. Don't get too fancy with it. Don't get too fancy with it.
Yeah. My goodness, fat man offense was a real phrase.
No offense to the big fellas. I don't mean offense. Let me be clear. I just I can't watch him do the stuff he did in NXT. Yeah. He's got to be actually menacing,
Yeah. I feel like you said fat lovingly too, because he's like an actual big man.
I did, yeah.
We have fun. I have fun with the Bam Bam thing. Bam Bam did cartwheels, right? But Bam Bam had a head tattoo, so he could get away with it.
Yeah, exactly.
What I'm saying is, if you're watching this, Bronson Reed, shave it, head tattoo. Then you can do as many cartwheels as you want, and we'll let it rock. So,
and hey, look, if they do a deal where if they do the deal where they brawl around and Rollins does some dives and stuff, that's fine. If Rollins is the one, doing that stuff, that works. But
listen, Oracle got the go ahead from Cody. It's fine. Incredible compliment.
But yeah, I think Bronson should win this match. Do I think he will? Maybe, but I mean, the concern is always does Seth end up getting his win back?
I think. So is this their first? Is this not their first match?
This is their first match.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think Bronson Reed's going to get disqualified for kicking too much ass.
Okay.
Like he's going to stomp him in the corner, and the referee will throw it out, and that's what they're going to do with the tsunami afterwards.
In a suit and shit.
The Raw main event seems very political, bro. I don't know if Bronson Reed's got a lot of power in that domain. We'll see. But I will say, we have our fun and all that stuff. I actually am rooting for Bronson Reed to kill it here because we need more big men in the game. And he's still a young guy. How old's Bronson? He's 36, which is he's got time ahead of him.
Yeah, he's got 5 or 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully he kills it. He's always had the pieces. He seems to be putting them together. The push has been great. The presentation's been great. Legitimately, sincerely, I'm rooting for him. So shout out to the big man and Seth Rollins, I suppose. All right. Up next, the big one, the United States title on the line, the most prestigious prize in the US of A, as LA Knight defends his belt against the premier grappler in this sport, Andrade Idolo, and Carmelo Hayes is there. And they will wrestle here tomorrow for the US title. This is on the heels of the best of 15 series from Andrade and Carmelo, which I believe was a tie in the end. I haven't checked with the record books on that one. But I'm looking forward to this. I'm thrilled to see Andrade on the big pay-per-view stage. He's one of my absolute favorite wrestlers. I love me some LA Knight. But I got to say, Bob, I don't think either of those fellas are winning here because I think Carmelo Hayes is getting the title and I think Uncle Alan is chasing. That's my prediction, and I'm locking it in, folks. Okay. Take it to the bookies. We haven't got a betting sponsor. We probably never will, but I'm locking it in. I'm taking Carmelo Hayes. Bob, what do you think?
I think I'm going to go with Andrade. They've really been building him up lately. I guess LA Knight could win. Carmelo is actually the guy I'd expect to win the least, so I'm surprised you went that way. But you know what? That's what's fun about these shows, right? We bring different viewpoints to the table, and people love it. But yeah, I just think it's time for Andrade, man. And LA Knight could just retain. He's still red hot, but I think it's Andrade's time finally, and hopefully this is the run that finally propels them to I think what everyone's been looking for the past 7 or 8 years.
I actually am more confident now in Andrade's kind of place in the game than I have been in a long time. Really, I actually think he's going to be fine, but I think he's going to be a heel. And I think he's going to get, and Ibou said similar, it's almost like we talk, I think he's going to get real mad at LA Knight here for fucking this up for him. Because they're I like the dynamic of LA Knight and Andrade. I don't think their match is going to be great. I actually did like their match on SmackDown. But I like them as this they're both got big egos. They're fiery, It's good shit. I like it. It's a machismo at play. I like it a lot. Oracle, who you got in the US title match?
I think it probably does make the most sense to give Melo the belt here. I think he steals it in a win, and I like your idea and think it's a feasible one with the gay community's favorite wrestler AJ Styles chasing.
And then
chasing the belt.
Say AJ wins the title at the Rumble or something, right?
Yeah.
Then we have a heel Andrade and a babyface
AJ
Styles.
Don't start doing that.
And then we're in Vegas, brother, and we're rocking and rolling.
We can't be fantasy booking that far ahead, you know. I mean, that's too exciting to talk about right now. But yeah, I kind of think that Andrade is probably going to, Andy, he might pull some shit in this one. You know what I mean?
I would love for Andrade to win, but I agree with you that regardless, he's going to do some crazy shit because Andrade's one of those wrestlers, right? He knows the stage, he knows the setting. This is a pape. He's going to swing, I think, here pretty big. So I'm excited. Chris, what do you think in this one, mate? Who you got?
I think LA retains for the simple reason he just got the new belt with the custom strap.
True.
Oh,
true. Yeah. Fair.
They should do more of. I'm for it.
I hadn't considered that because I didn't know it happened. All right, well, never mind. I delay my Carmelo Hayes agenda. Look, LA Knight and Andrade. I mean, I love me some LA Knight and Andrade as one of my favorites. So I'm cool with anyone winning this, to be honest.
Yeah.
But they're going to go for it, these lads, right? They're going to go for it.
Oh, yeah, they're going to try to do all kinds of crazy shit. And, it's going to be awesome because, LA Knight has shown that he can do okay in the ring. I don't love him in the ring, but, there's going to be moments where, he's going to be, in a race with these two trying to catch up. It's going to pop me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he's game, dude. He's not a natural in the sense of the kind of match these two fellas have, but he always tries to do it.
Oh yeah, the Logan Paul match is a good example. He's going to try to.
Yeah, the Andrade match was kind of crazy because they had a moves match, and LA Knight was busting out all of his coolest moves, and then they got mad at each other. It was sick, dude. LA has had some defenses on TV. To answer Ryan's question, Kaiser and Andrade were the two,
and Melo, right? Didn't he?
And Melo, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which kind of makes me wonder about a title change. This is an interesting one. This is why, without doing the match card thing again, this is why I do 7 matches, because you get something like this on the card, and this is a fun addition, right? I don't know if I'd be desperate to see it if it was one of 4 interesting matches, but on a 7-match card, it adds some variety. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm rooting for Andrade. I've got Mel Hayes. All right. Up next, we have the match that I'm most looking forward to. I think it'll be more angle than match, if I'm honest. Kevin Owens, who is, I think, we see these lists, best wrestlers in the world and all that stuff. But I think if you were to just say, I'm starting a wrestling television show tomorrow, rank for me the best assets in the game on TV, I think Kevin Owens is in the tippy top of that group. He can do so much for you on your wrestling television show. And the promos he's been doing to build this, the demeanor he's had to build this, the way that they've done it, the unique setup with the angle that wasn't an angle almost and was presented as something that we wasn't supposed to see, was so refreshing. Kevin's got something to really sink his teeth into here, as well as far as it seems anyway, a few $1 million to boot. I think this is the start. I guess we're underway, but this is a big step on Kevin Owens' road to, I think he's going to win the world's title coming up here soon. I really do. And that makes this match all the more compelling because I think Kevin Owens is going to be, to say locked in would be an understanding. We've seen the performances he's had on random SmackDowns. I think this goes 8 to 10 minutes. I think Kevin is going to beat the hell out of Randy Orton. And I think this will be a referee stoppage. And I think Randy's going to try to take an apron powerbomb. I think.
Yeah.
Now, what that looks like is a different matter. But I think that'll be the finish. That's my take. I'm really looking forward to it. Oracle, what have you made of this whole deal? What are you thinking about the match?
There was a show on February 11th, 2015, I believe, where Kevin Owens defeated Sami Zayn for the NXT Championship.
Yes, sir.
That I think this match will be very reminiscent of. Where this was always been my favorite version of heel Kevin Owens. I think the sort of sarcastic, ha ha ha, funny Kevin Owens is way better as a babyface. I think he's awful as a heel when he's like that. I think he's like unwatchable when he's like that. But when he's like serious, scary babyface, which was like the first six months of his NXT run, 6-9 months of he was fucking awesome. I think he's going to destroy Randy here. And I think you're right. I think Randy might try and take an apron bomb here. We'll see how that goes.
The elbows are going to be tucked in, brother.
And I think, and this is, I'll just go ahead and we'll talk about it more at the end of the show, but my dream, and we'll try desperately to put together what we think the women's War Games is, even though there shouldn't be one, but I still think they're going to do it. But my dream big 3 matches for Survivor Series is the Bloodline War Games, which I think is pretty much already set.
Mm-hmm.
Gunny Punk, and then Cody Kevin.
Yeah,
2 title matches. That would be my hopeful.
I think you'll get 2 of the 3. I think.
Yeah.
Got a weird feeling Cody's not working that show.
Really? Okay.
Well, I think they may do a thing here where Kevin's like suspended for a month.
Okay.
And then they do Saturday night's main event. I think.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. Because he's usually very restrained with how many big matches he puts on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong. Because, I mean, I'm for it. But I wonder where this is going. There's also the element of, like, if Kevin is going to beat Cody, I think that I think most likely Cody wins it back before Mania. But like, what if he doesn't? What if this is how Sammy finally gets his world title win? What if? Right? What if? I wonder.
Fascinating.
I wonder. There's a lot of different moving pieces here.
I would much rather Cody lose the title to Kevin Owens than The Rock. I'll just put that out there.
That's the thing, right? If The Rock is looming, that doesn't need a belt, right? Like, that's The Rock and Cody Rhodes is fine without a belt, especially if John Cena's winning the other title, you know, like, so it's just, I don't know. I think there's a lot of different moving pieces here. The chat's being very colorful, but I'm just guessing and saying stuff. I'm actually just guessing.
But no, like I agree with you that belt or no belt, I think we are getting another Sammy KO match, maybe at Mania.
Yeah.
Because especially if Sammy ends up joining the Bloodline, the OG Bloodline at War Games, like that's gonna piss Kevin off even more.
People's title has fascinated me. But yes, you're right. The Bloodline stuff could tie in naturally. I don't know, Chris. Firstly, what do you think of this Randy Kevin match, and then kind of broadly the Kevin Owens talking points here, mate? Go for it.
I agree with everyone else. This shouldn't be overly long, but it should, give him, good 10 minutes or so. And yeah, Kevin should win. I agree that they at least are going to tease the apron bomb. Maybe it's after the match has already concluded and he sets up for it and everyone runs out, security and all the backstage people run out and try and, pull him off, tell him to stop, all that kind of stuff. So he can't actually do it. But yeah, I think Kevin Owens should win here.
Massive, I think, the way they present Kevin here. Bobby, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with all you guys. Kevin should win. I think Randy will probably take more bumps than we've seen him take his entire time he's been back so far. He's really going to put in the effort here for Kevin, I think. And I'm with you, too. I think Kevin's going to win the title. Maybe Saturday night's main event. That seems to be where it's pointing at right now. Yeah, I mean, I'm here for it, obviously. I like Owens the heel as well. He's a guy that's been just kind of toiling away for the past however many years since he lost the belt to Goldberg. And I think we've all talked at length about how it's time again, and it feels like it's time again once again, and it feels like it's for real this time.
I will say, I think most likely, I do believe Kevin's winning the belt, but I think most likely Cody will win it back before WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's fair.
The Sammy thing is just an interesting element, right? Because I do think, just to be completely frank, I think everyone involved in the creative process wants Sami Zayn to win the world title at some point. And Kevin Owens is pretty natural direction to take with that. So, very interesting. Many big shows coming up. Intrigued to see how they kind of balance and make sure everyone has its own attractions. We shall see. All right. Up next, let's talk about the Bloodline. We discussed earlier Big Rome and his babyface return, all that's come with that. Here he is alongside the Usos. Big Jim and Yeet J as they take on the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and Tama Tonga with their friend Tonga Loa at ringside. This is an interesting place to do this match in the sense that this is obviously a bridge to War Games. And there is a part of me that is deeply concerned as to what it looks like when you tell these fellas this is just like a setup match, because I've seen what they do when there's a main event match. So I think we may see a level of effort here that was never been seen before, quite frankly.
Well, I've seen enough Coliseum videotapes to know.
Because it's going to have crazy heat. It's not like they're going to have to do anything, right? And I've seen how they approach pay-per-view mains. So, like, the idea that this is just like a Road 2 trios is kind of frightening. But hopefully Jacob does some cool stuff. You're going to get some conflicted elements with Jay and Roman, which I think will result in the Bloodline Wolfpack getting the win, Bob. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on all fronts there. Like, it's clearly to set up War Games. Bloodline getting the win makes sense. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's, maybe closer to 20 minutes or so than 30. And I think it probably will be. I mean, it's not a premiere match like it has been in the past. But, yeah, I think it should be a good time. It is interesting that, they added extra matches, and one of them is just kind of this, where it's kind of just a bridge. But, I'm looking forward to it.
It does feel like a case of, the WWE formula of pay-per-views. This match feels like it's been like actively attached because there was, the folks funding the show wanted to have Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. Yeah. To me, it feels that way. I mean, exactly. I could be completely wrong. At some point, Solo is going to put the nerve hold on, and I'm ready, I'm excited, and I'm locked in. Chris, what we thinking? Bloodline 6-man. Who's going over? What you reckon?
Yeah, the new Bloodline has to win this match. Because otherwise, I don't see. I mean, I guess they can turn around and attack them, and get their heat back, and whatever. But then it's like, well, why? Because then Roman and Cody would have beaten them, and now the OG. Like it would render War Games practically useless at that point. So, new Bloodline needs to get the win here. And yeah, I don't know if there'll be miscommunication, so to speak, or anything like that. But I think it would be more like you could tell the story of more. It's just the three of them being rusty, like not being on the same page. For the longest time, and so maybe like the Usos tandem offense isn't as crisp as it normally is because they haven't tagged together for over a year.
That'd be good. Or like there's a thing maybe where Jay doesn't tag in Roman once, like something like that, where it's sort of baked into the way you work the match. That could be interesting. I like this a lot. Jake says, I wonder if there's something interesting you can do with Jacob getting the pin and then Solo losing. That's how you set up Solo being kicked. I think that's where they're going here. I think Jacob gets the pin here. I think Solo loses War Games. And then I think Solo and Roman have their singles and Solo lose. And then I think Dwayne and Jacob have him like whacked, I think is what happens to poor Solo. That's a gut feeling. I think Big Jim's getting pinned here. The Oracle of Wrestling, what do you think?
Hopefully it doesn't go over 20. My favorite parts will be when Solo's music hits and
bum 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 bum.
Nerve hold and
yes.
That's about it. I mean, I don't know. Their matches are so like
very familiar at this
matches
point.
Are always so dadgum.
Yeah.
Mind-numbingly.
At least we got the cage match, bro.
Yeah, that's true. The cage match was awesome. Outstanding, even.
I've sent a letter every week since the match happened. I've sent a actual letter to the WWF headquarters asking if they can release it on Blu-ray, just the match on its own. They've yet to get back to me. I agree with Ibou. It would be good to see the Usos together.
Yeah.
The question is, are we not going to hear it's just me, Us, ever again? What's going to happen to that? Because it isn't just him anymore, Us.
It's true.
They're down since day one-ish, right? Bob, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, it's not paranoia. It's the Usos.
Exactly right. They're going to have to unless, what if Big Jim's got in the studio and we've got a new one coming in which it's just us, Us? Then, I mean, I think we're headed to the top of the charts with that one. That's going to be something to track, folks. Let's keep locked in on that tomorrow. Big story coming out.
A horror theme that Jimmy Uso had for a while last year. It sounded like a horror music.
The of course I remember it. It's one of my favorite themes ever. It's great. Born a King. There you go. Jake's here in the chat. So yeah, they said on SmackDown they're all equal, so they all get entrance. I imagine in that case, this is going to go an hour. I presume. You could be right. I don't know.
Nah, you got to have the Usos come out together.
I feel like you do, right?
This is a clear, most tag teams you talk about who's the Marty and who's the Shawn. In this case, it's who's the Jeff and who's the Matt, and Jay is clearly the Jeff here. So
he is. It's the funniest way to do this is that Jay just does his entire entrance and Jimmy's just behind him the whole time. Just kind of nodding his head, like, here we are, everyone. The Usos, Jay's does because his entrance is one of the biggest things on their show at this point. So, I have to be honest, and I love the Usos, but I think Jim would love to be Jannetty and or Matt. It would be real. But fuck it, I get the comparison on both fronts. I don't think Jimmy gives a shit, so what are you going to do?
He's getting paid either way.
Dude, I think he's like entirely aware of who he is as a wrestler. I don't think he would hear that and be like, well, hold on, The
funny thing is he was up until this, the split, he was always my favorite of the two.
Dude, that's why I think he's aware of it. Like, he knows how he feels when he wakes up in the morning. He's just beat up, man. We looked at the numbers on this the other day. Remember this Oracle on Grindication? We looked at how many matches they were having a year.
Yeah.
Let me try and find this here.
I think it was Jake who was listing that out, right? When we were doing
we'll do Jimmy. Yeah. Jimmy Uso had 191 matches in 2014. 121, 150, 135, 122. Then they drop off. And then in 2022, and I think they don't get nearly enough credit for this, the Bloodline angle was the big one on TV, but who was making the towns? It was the Usos, right? They were the ones actually doing the matches. 141 matches in 2022. For Jimmy Uso, that'll get you, dude. That's like,
that was after the 2015 injury where he was out for months doing commentary. That was after the 2020. That was the ACL tear in front of no one, right?
Yes.
That was Jimmy, right? Yeah.
Singles triple threat ladder match for the tag belts. All timer. He should have a job for life just for that, dude. That's fucking insane. I'd be so mad. The irony is it obviously led to all that followed because then Jay was a singles and that whole butterfly effect. But we'll see how this latest Bloodline match goes. Elsewhere, we have a singles match for the inaugural WWE Women's Crown Jewel Championship.
That will only be defended in Saudi Arabia, from what I understand.
Yes.
Which is hilarious, by the way.
The winners have to leave the title, but they get a ring, like a Super Bowl ring.
We have a real dream match on our hands here as Liv Morgan of Monday Night Raw fame meets Nia Jax, who is of the Blue brand. They are, of course, the world's champions. This is a big-time clash, a Robert O'Neill dream match for sure. And I'll do this now because we've had fun, and I'm not like... I like Nia Jax. I think she's done she's done a really good job since she came back. I think she should be awfully proud of what she's done, and I think the title was a nice way of acknowledging that. And I think Liv Morgan gets a lot of shit, but I think Liv is actually quite capable. I think she struggled slightly to be an in-ring heel. I think it suits her, but she's made the most of, her time as a character, and she's definitely got over to an extent. However, I think this match is like I think this is the kind of thing you look at on paper and it should be like an alarm bell in your head. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say that to like knock either talent. The men's version of this match is Cody Rhodes versus Gunther. This should be like a genuine, holy shit, we need to get our stuff together here. There needs to be a certain standard when you're talking about the world's title, and we cannot sit here and say that the women's division isn't capable of upholding that standard. Look at the top women in the division. So, to me anyway, and again, I'm not trying to knock them as individuals. They've both done a good job, and they've come a long way individually. But, like, dude, this is kind of an indictment. This is the all-champion match, to me anyway. Bob, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think Raw in particular is missing Becky Lynch quite a bit. I think that would kind of help the overall state of the division.
Sure.
You know, Rhea being hurt now obviously doesn't help either. But, like, yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, we talk about it a lot. Like, one of the biggest matches they could do, men or women, is Rhea and Bianca right now. So it's not like the star power is not there in the division to kind of have that. I mean, and I think Liv's title reign, it's gone on too long. I don't think it's been terrible. I mean, she could defend the belt a little more, but like whatever. I think Nia, like you said, has actually been pretty good. But yeah, this one just, if you're going to do this whole concept and it's going to be the first one, like you got to kind of make it pop a little bit more. And I'm not saying they should have done like an abrupt title switch like we'd see in the Survivor Series lead up, you know, back in the day or a few years ago, not back in the day. But like it just, it's not there for me. I think it'll be perfectly okay in the ring.
Yeah.
I think Tiffany Stratton cashing in would add a lot of confusion, and it's probably not worth doing just based on how the match is set up. And even after, I just don't think you need to do it tomorrow.
Really?
I think Nia's going to win. I really only think that because I think, spoilers, Gunther's winning the other match, and they're probably just going to switch one Raw and one SmackDown like they tend to do with these things. But yeah, I hope it's better than I think all of us think it's going to be.
Well, the thing is, I don't think it will be bad. Like, because I think they both know their limitations. I think they'll have a fine match. It'll be agented well. It's just, I wish that wasn't our assessment of a champion versus, you know what I'm saying? And that's where I think there is still strides to be made from the booking team in terms of like the way they view these titles. Like,
yeah.
And I think maybe ideally, this is where a mid-card title in the women's division would help, is that you could acknowledge someone like Nia without making her the world champion on SmackDown. Yeah. But anyway, what was you saying, Bob? Sorry.
No, but yeah, all in all, like, just it's been built as like the second most important match on the show for most of the builds from what I've seen, at least until they added the Roman stuff, and it doesn't feel like the second biggest match on the show.
Yeah, it's just hard. I don't know. I think Tiffany is cashing in because I don't think they can avoid, I just don't think they can avoid the temptation of her having to pick which champion she's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think they'll play around with that.
Okay.
And I presume she cashes, I think they're going with her and Charlotte on SmackDown, like maybe, I don't know.
That seems.
It's hard. I'm not sure. I'm not really intrigued by a lot of the potential directions of these things, which is like kind of tough too. But I am in the match will suck. Chris, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to suck either. I've been pretty high on Nia all year.
Yeah.
I think Liv is pretty good in her own right. I am really surprised that we didn't get a title switch on either side here leading in, like Bob talked about, just because heel versus heel matches are hard, man. They're really hard to get people to care about. But I think they've done a good job of like, I don't think Nia's a baby face by any means, but you can definitely tell, like, out of the two, the crowd is with her more than they are with Liv, you know, because of the Dom stuff. But I agree that Nia probably wins because Gunther's winning the other match. So, and then I still don't, I can't get a good read on when they are or aren't going to have Tiffany cash in on this. Yeah. I don't think they know yet.
Well, that whole thing's weird because it's like, that would turn Tiffany babyface, and I get it. Like, the people love her, but I just think that would be challenging for her as a character, you know? Like, the people will pop for the cash in, but then what does her promos look like as a babyface? You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's a weird situation they've got themselves in. And look, it does go about saying like they are, there's some injury issues. Obviously, Becky's chilling right now as she should. God bless. Thrilled for her,
And
relaxing, enjoying the good life. But yeah, it's tough.
Because a cash-in would theoretically turn Tiffany babyface. Maybe you do have her cash in on Liv, because then that frees whenever Rhea's back, you can finish that up without the belt involved.
Yeah. And it'd be nice for the Raw division to have that like injection of, but then I think the question would be, would they throw away the Nia Tiffany stuff? Because that was my initial read, was the same as what you just said. Like maybe Tiffany, you help Raw with Tiffany. But they've invested a lot of time in the Nia deal. So, but then my question to that would be like, what is the, respectfully, like is the juice worth the squeeze with Tiffany and Nia as like a big long, you know what I'm saying? Like, is that really something that we need to worry about wasting? I'm not sure. I find it's kind of complicated
because you got to turn one of them babyface in that scenario too, and like who like not Nia's like I like Nia, but she doesn't really work as a babyface either.
Yeah, she's
so so I would just assume they not do that program and just move Tiffy over to Raw and go from there.
Fascinating. Oracle, we're in a bit of a pickle here, mate. What do you think?
Yeah, it's tough. From a personal standpoint, I'd rather they just stop this Money in the Bank cash-in teasing and get the shit over with already. And it makes the most sense to do Tiffy on, to have Tiffy cash in on Nia. I either think that still might happen tomorrow, or Nia just wins. Can't really decide which.
This is a weird deal, bro.
I mean, you're right. It is a pickle. I don't really know how.
How do you do the match?
Go about this. I'm fairly confident we're still going to have Tiffany and Charlotte at Mania for the title. Charlotte winning, of course. But and that means Tiffany will cash in and win a belt between now and then. I just don't know when that's going to be. I hope it's sooner rather than later. This match, in terms of quality, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going to have a ton of heat. They're probably going to have to do a lot of, interference stuff with Tiffany, with the Judgment Day. They're going to have to do a lot of smoke and mirrors here, in order for it to work. Just because of just because there isn't really a good face heel dynamic, right? They're two heels.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to do stuff like that.
It's got to go early in the show too, right?
It does. Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't know. I could even see a scenario where somehow Liv steals the win. Like I don't know. Yeah. I think it's actually the toughest match to pick. I think the main event we're going to talk about is slightly easier to pick.
I do too,
in my opinion.
It's just so hard to read what they're like, where they're going.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think it's great that NXT is like built an identity as being the show where the women's division gets a lot of shine. Like, I really think that's cool. And there are consistently weeks on NXT TV where there's more women's matches than men's matches, which is awesome. Like, that's great. But there is a part of me that's like, there's some simple maths to be done here, guys. Maybe some of these women should be on the main roster. And I'm not necessarily even saying who. It feels like this should be like more new blood, I guess.
I like the fantasy booking there. Not necessarily that I think it's going to happen, but I like the
which one, mate?
Kale's booking there. I like that.
How's this? Good. Tiffany gets the Raw belt. Io wins the Rumble. Io versus Tiffany at Mania. Charlotte returns and beats Nia. Bianca versus Charlotte at Mania. Yeah, I wonder what happens if Freudian there. I wonder what happens with Bianca and Jade. I definitely think Bianca and Charlotte is like a priority of Charlotte's. I guess this has made me more interested in the sense that I have no fucking clue like where they're going. I guess
I'm with Jake too. Jordan Grace needs to be called up at the Rumble if she's.
Oh yeah, she should not go to NXT.
If she's signed most likely in January, she needs to be. They come back at the Rumble and literally be on the main roster the next year.
They just got like 3 big signings in NXT. If she's coming in 2 months, she does not need to be a 4th one. Like that's And again, I do want to be clear. I don't think the match is going to suck. I think it'll be fine. And I like both talents. I just think it is impossible not to look at this match opposite Cody and Gunther and be like, okay, there needs to be some work done here, right? Like, let's make sure these belts, let's take it very seriously who wins these belts. And that's not a knock on Liv or Nia, it just is what it is. Nonetheless, I'll say Nia clean because, I don't know. Jumanji Hunt, I'd be okay with a swerve and giving Tiff the Raw belt. We kicked that around some.
Yeah.
Certainly. Certainly
that
an
list
option.
of people they're missing, yeah.
This is big time. And Ryan Spawn, Ryan Super Chat, thank you for the Super Chat, by the way. And Ryan also
valuable in the ring, too, just in terms of her presence.
Ryan says right now they're missing Becky, Charlotte, Asuka, Dakota, Alexa, Carmelo, and it's spot on. And Ryan is on the money.
All those ladies have tremendous.
The only thing I would say, and I'm not trying to rush anyone out of the business, but these are not a lot of these names are people you're going to be able to rely on for much longer, to be completely frank.
Circling, especially, to me, like Asuka.
Yeah.
And this is not a. I don't think I have to say it because they're moms. They want to raise their kids, but Mela and Becky and Alexa as well.
I don't even know what Carmella's status is in terms of a comeback because I know she had some complications. Hopefully,
she's still got foot and back issues.
And I don't think I have to explain that I'm an Alexa Bliss fan, but I don't think she's. I mean, I could be wrong, but the way she talked about wrestling before, I don't think she's coming back to be a world champion. I think she's going to be part of the Wyatt thing, which is great, and that'll be cool. And I'm looking forward to that. My point is not Ryan's wrong. Ryan is right. My point is this is going to make it even more interesting this next couple of years, right? Because there has to be a turnover. Like Becky will be around. She's going to come back and do stuff. And Becky's at that point now. She's just a fucking star, dude. She's in traction. But I think Becky will be more akin to like what Punk is now. Obviously, way younger, but I mean in terms of role, star who comes back and has feuds. Charlotte, I think, intends to go for a long while. But, Charlotte just tore her knee, so.
Yeah. And,
it's fucking hard, dude.
He had a rough, in terms of, from what, in terms of quality, obviously not to be too harsh, but she had a really rough couple of years there too before she got hurt. She was just not her same self anymore.
Yeah, and Dakota is one of my absolute favorites, but poor Cota's had some issues with injuries.
Her injury issues are a problem, unfortunately.
So it's hard. So again, I don't say that to slight anyone.
Whose age is up there, and her injury issues are becoming an issue too.
And
that's like with anybody. I mean, it's an unfortunate
part of the game, dude. I don't say that to slight the talent. I just that's why it's so important that you start getting things in place. I don't think you can hold on much longer with Roxanne Perez. I think she needs to be involved pretty soon, honestly.
And Lyra, listen, Lyra was not even close to lighting the world on fire in the spring, but she was getting some decent reactions in that Queen of the Ring tournament. And then they stuck her with Cade and Katana and did that stuff with Pure Fusion, and it was just death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it killed her, man.
Yeah. And I do think it's important.
She even got going. You know what I mean? It was poor booking.
I think it is important to, when you look at this list, and it's like, it is, I think people probably did take for granted at the time, that batch of talent they had for a minute there and how well they connected. It's hard, dude. Getting over is hard.
I actually like Jake's idea because it would give Becky. It would give Becky something to do.
Lyra,
I think it'd be something Becky would want to do too.
That's the role for Becky. And I meant it as a compliment when I made the CM Punk comparison, feuds, conflicts. That's the role for her. And she could be hugely valuable in that regard. So, I don't know. It's a big time turnover, dude. They've got some great talent in NXT. You've obviously just signed Julia and Stephanie, who are both. I mean, Stephanie Becker especially.
Great talent in NXT, in terms of a decent boatload of it, and probably 5 years. We finally got it. And the timing is actually kind of critical because just like we're talking about, the aging out process, the injuries,
it's part of the game.
Motherhood, stuff like that. It's part of the game, and it's good that they have a new crop of ladies to come
And
up.
I do think it's important, very important, that we stress this. There is an element in the industry out of like treating the women differently in the sense of how long they want to wrestle and presuming that everyone wants to run off. And that's not the intention here. I think it's important we stress that because, I mean, God forbid, look at the dudes we're talking about main event in WrestleMania. I mean, it's going to be like an old people's home.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I just think in those particular cases, Becky's already on a hiatus, which is well earned. You know, Alexa has been doing Alexa things for the longest, and God bless, we celebrated that for 3 hours on Grin Grappler. But like, you know, Mella has the health concern, and the other ones are like injury problems. So it's not a matter of us retiring people before. I mean, it's more a case of, dude, when you're deep in your career, especially like Asuka's, you know, been wrestling for a long time, tearing your knee is fucking tough, man. Yeah. Like, it's difficult. Yeah. So hopefully they can all come back and get rolling. It's just, from a booking point of view, it's not something you really want to be like relying on, I guess is the point, right? So,
and as far as Charlotte too, even when she comes back, I mean, you don't know what her and Andrade has plans for. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think there's definitely a case that Charlotte is hoping to do, you know, more kind of. She's spoken about wanting to do more fun things that are not like she's basically been in one role for her entire run, right? And she spoke about that. The issue is we're all talking about her going back to that role, so it's hard. Yeah, an interesting time. Is interesting with the women because I think a lot of us as fans haven't experienced it that way because the women were such a big part of the TV. You know, like the 2010s TV, some of the names there were like centerpieces of it for me personally as a fan. So it's kind of weird, but it's part of the game. Anyway, main event. Inaugural WWE Crown Jewel Championship, Gunther and Cody Rhodes, the undisputed champion versus the world champion, of course. All-star match, one of the biggest matches the company can possibly do. There were certainly some feelings. Oracle and I were not thrilled, it must be said, about this being the place for this match, this being the setting for this match, so on and so forth. But now that it's here, I'm excited. It's a big one. Lots of star power, lots of potential bell-to-bell. I think we're going to get a very good match, but I think it's going to be ever so slightly, you know, reined in because I think this is just the start of this as a pairing. I'd imagine this will be a signature feud next year or in 2026. That's just my read on it, Bob. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right on. You know, I didn't love it either. At the beginning of the show, I kind of said like the whole champion versus champion thing. I didn't need to see it anymore, but I'm with you now that we're here. Like I'm excited to see it. It's a match we've all had circled just as a potential matchup for a long time. We got it for a little bit at the end of the 2023 Royal Rumble, obviously, and that's about all we've gotten from these two. And you know, let them go in there and cook. I think Gunther might be the best wrestler on the planet at the moment, so. You know, let him go in there, do his thing, and Cody's going to just follow as he does, and it's going to be a really good time. I think the ceiling is among the matches of the year. I don't know if it'll quite get to match of the year because, you know, again, like you said, they're going to wrestle probably multiple times down the line, and you don't want to give everything away at first, but I'm looking forward to it, and I think Gunther's going to win, and I think Kevin Owens may cost Cody.
I think that's how Kevin gets suspended.
Yeah.
I think Kevin Owens
attempts to harm Randy and then cause Cody, and that's the...
He ruins the prestige of the sacred Crown Jewel Championship match and is suspended for a month as a result. That's my guess. I
ruined it.
I think it's very important. I think it's very important for Gunther to win here. The only thing I would say that helps if Gunny doesn't win is I think he's going to kick the shit out of CM Punk in about 3 weeks, which will soften the blow. So, but I do think Gunther will win. Chris, what do you think, mate?
Yeah, I mean, you won't find a much bigger Cody Rhodes fan than me, but I absolutely think Gunther should win this match.
Yeah. Feels important for his stature as champion, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's important. Yeah.
For his and the belt, it's, you know, the belt he holds itself, you know.
Yeah.
Because even though I think the belt has been actually pretty good since they brought it in, but you know, it's still looked at as the second world title.
Sure.
So
for sure, and Kevin Owens gives you a natural way to get to a finish. I will ask before I throw it to Oracle here. Bill Goldberg, what's the deal? What's happening with this Bill Goldberg thing? Because that was kind of weird, right? That pronounced Bill Goldberg angle they did. Do we think anything is coming to that, or is that Bob? You're shaking your head at me here.
I think eventually. I don't think tomorrow. I thought maybe Saturday night's main event would not be the worst place in the world for that, but Dave kind of thinks it's going to be Priest, so we'll see. I mean, it's something they can go back to at some point. If you do it at the Rumble or you do it Goldberg clearly wants to do one more match, even though losing against Roman is kind of the perfect way for him to go out, but whatever. And I didn't think he'd ever actually be back because I didn't think him and Triple H liked each other, to be honest with you. But
they don't. But
fair. But yeah, I mean, it's something that I think they're going to do eventually, and the door's open. But I don't think we'll see him tomorrow. It is weird though. Just kind of did it, and it's like how The Rock showed up and then just left again. What a weird stuff on this show. In hindsight,
the Rock thing was really weird because they've not mentioned it once, right?
No.
Interesting. All right, Oracle, you wave your finger there. What do you think, mate?
I think the chat's right. I think the same thing. They dropped little threads in for Netflix.
So you think Bill on Netflix?
Rock will be there on the Netflix show. I think Bill Goldberg will challenge Gunther and spear him, and he will be Gunther and Goldberg in Indianapolis on February 1st at the Rumble.
My God.
I think if this were the Vince era, Goldberg probably costs, for sure Gunther the match tomorrow. But I don't think that that's the case. It could happen. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, but I find it somewhat doubtful. I think the KO thing is much more likely here. I think they're going to do Gunny and Goldberg at the Rumble, maybe in Goldberg's retirement match or something.
Do you not think I don't know how to phrase this, so I'll just be blunt. Do you not think there's any concern about what can happen when you get in the ring with Goldberg? Because I've invested a lot of time into Gunther, man. I mean, I love me some Bill Goldberg, but fuck, it's like Russian roulette, right?
It's probably, I actually like the idea of him actually his retirement match being him losing to Gunther. This is his fantasy booking for the chat, and then him just squashing Dom at Mania. That would be cool. That would be cool.
It'd be a good send-off.
You know what I mean?
I want to see the match, but there is a part of me that's thinking it's a little bit of a risk, man. Bill's nuts, dude. He's an insane man. I would be, if I had invested as much in Gunther as they have and he was my number one worker, I'd be a little bit well, maybe not. Can't he work with JD McDonough or something, but these are the games we play.
I still don't love that they're doing this match, but
yeah,
they've done a decent job building it. I think it's this whole thing is just dumb to me. The concept is stupid. I think it sucks. It's like a Super Bowl ring that they don't even get to do anything with. But I do think within the sort of large majority of WWE audience, Gunther winning the match, even with help from Owens or whatever, is going to do a lot of good.
Yeah.
Because even if he lost this match, I don't think it would kill him, but he needs to win this more than Cody does. Cody can take this and move on to the Kevin feud, and it makes for a far more interesting story for Cody going into Mania season if he's hit a wall and loses to Gunther here and then has this sort of losing a friendship rivalry with Kevin Owens and I mean I know it's cheesy, but it's very dramatic stuff that is Cody, right? It's the type of stuff that he thrives in. Even if I sometimes get a chuckle out of his sort of
theatrics.
Yeah, theatrics. I think it's his sort of forte.
I agree.
Yeah, I think this match will be pretty good, very good even. I do kind of wonder if they'll hold back a tad bit. It could be a classic, but I feel like this is something that they're gonna
preview.
Maybe take a step back a little bit on and allow the angle to play out rather than try and go out there and have a 5-star classic, you know?
Because this has got to be like one of the key pairings of the Triple H regime.
Oh,
this is such a natural
one
matchup.
of the tip-top pairings up there with Rhea, Bianca, and you know, Punk and Roman,
Very
right?
interesting.
Yeah.
Certainly. Speaking of CM Punk, hello, Ibou of Wrestle Purists.
How's everybody doing?
We're good, man. How are you?
I'm here for my monthly cameo on the LNG show on Fridays. I'm happy to be here. I'm not quite happy to be next to a murderer, but you know, what are you gonna do?
I didn't expect that he'd be able to, you know,
slip out of there.
get out of that concrete. You know,
I thought you punctured the aorta, but I guess I don't know.
I don't know how he did it. I mean, somehow he got a haircut in there.
Well,
I'm still puzzled on that front, but
the funny thing is, it's 2025, and like people just forgive heinous people all over the place. I mean, you've been forgiven for attempting murder on your good friend. Roman Reigns has been forgiven for being just a ruthless piece of garbage, gaslighter, and a manipulator. You know, Donald Trump is the darling to half of this country. I mean, this is just the world we live in. You know, so
and you have not been forgiven
for
your tweet about the 4 Horsewomen, which was an absolute fucking disgrace. Actually, you've done 3 things that you've not been forgiven for. First, we'll start.
That was a wild posting day. I gotta say, that was a wild.
It was a wild, frightening posting day.
I didn't realize what was happening. Before you say anything, Joe, I didn't realize like what was happening until like you and a couple people were like, "Man, you're on one today," and I'm like, "What's going on?" And I went back and I was like, "Ugh."
You had some tough posts. I would like you to formally apologize for the 4 Horsewomen one, if that's okay.
No, but I had fun. The funniest part about it was like me just passingly, carelessly, just firing it off, like while like ringing up like a lady and like talking to her toddler son on this fucking iPad. You know, I'm just kind of like, "Hey man, what's up?" And he's like, "This is Sonic." I'm like, "Sick, dude." You know, and I'm like, I'm pressing the fucking scanner gun like with one hand, with my left hand, I'm like, boop, 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 horsewomen or plumbers, do, send tweet, boop, and I just put my phone away and I'm like doing whatever. I check back, it's like there's like so much fucking interaction on it. You're on the replies like, "What the fuck is this?" You know,
I was mad, dude. I was hot about it.
I thought about it. You know what's funny is like obviously I was like shit posting, but I thought about it, right? And let's say this is current Horsemen we're talking, because if it's the OG Horsewomen in their all respective peaks, this is a 5-game series. I'll admit that. If this is Sasha Banks at the peak of her powers, Charlotte Flair when she like gave a fuck on a match to match basis, Bayley 2015-16, Becky Lynch 2021-2, they're getting smoked. Like the new ladies are getting smoked. If this is current Charlotte Flair post knee injury, Beck Lynch, you know, it's current Mercedes Moné.
Is this necessary, really?
if this is all at current Bayley, if this is these ladies in their current form, Joe, they're losing in 5.
But why are they playing in their current form? They're not the 4 Horsewomen. We're talking, you know, you got to use the time machine a little, bro. We're talking about the Horsewomen. You know, I think they sweep them in their prime. I'll be real with you, dude.
In their prime, they sweep them?
Yeah, I think so. Do you remember how good Sasha Banks was, bro?
She was Joe. Listen, man. Don't sleep on Steph and Jordan Grace, brother.
They're good. They're good grapplers. Good hands.
They're very good grapplers. You know.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's one thing you apologize for.
Yes.
Second, the screenshot of me reposting JC Jane, which got me in all sorts of trouble. Second. And third, the Puro pervert one, which made it look like I was like some sort of unhinged, like Japanese wrestling bad guy. All of these things you've done in this week, by the way.
What pops me is like Joe has become a bit of a wrestling Twitter superstar, but there's still that like level above that he hasn't reached to where like certain people don't like get Holbertism, and so when they see it, they just don't know what to make of it, and it's a real thing, and so like you'll get the guy who gets it, right, and they'll like reply to you like, yeah, and things of that nature, and I'm like, oh, he's initiated, okay, you know, and then there's like, you know, like Liv Reigns Dom 67, who's just like, what the fuck is this? You know, and they're like, what? Why is he objectifying women? And I'm like, all right, you know, like, yeah.
I hit repost. Hang on a second.
The famous pervert Joe Holbert, right? Like,
known gooner Joe Holbert.
yeah,
people were at me like, dude, they got you. I'm like, what the fuck are you people talking about? She throws a good forearm. What do you want from me? All right. Anyway, we have a message here from Andy, who's been a member for 2 months, and says, as someone who hates the Bloodline and the badly written annual war for AEW, it's been a tough month in wrestling. Need Punk and Bryan back. My God.
Let me take this on.
Go for it.
Man, you guys spoke earlier about like Roman and like the character of Roman and the Bloodline stuff, and I pointed out earlier this week or maybe last week it was. Because there was that one SmackDown night at the Jey Uso segment where he's talking to Solo, and that was good. That was quite good, and he came off great, and it just felt like he was stirring the drink. You know, he's the straw, and he's doing the whole thing of like, we know about Jacob. We're not supposed to fuck with Jacob. We know about the Tongans, Oos. We're not supposed to. And he's saying that, and you see fucking Tama Tonga just in the background like, I'm like, all right, cool. But like, they're just framing them like these fucking like untouchables, right? It's really cool. And like, there's something there as a concept that you can maybe explore. But the point is, that was an exciting segment when Jay basically told Jacob he's gonna slap the shit out of him. It was like, oh, wait a minute, right? That very same show, there's a solo Roman thing at the end of the show that had, I mean, it had juice to the crowd, but for me, like, there was nothing there. Like, they're talking about shit, and it's like, it's just the most like shallow, like, just not interesting thing ever. You know, it's just, Oos, you know you're supposed to pass the Ulufala, Oos. Yeah, well, you know what, Oos? I'm supposed to be the tribal chief, Oos. No, you're not, Oos. I'm the chief. And it's like, what the fuck are we doing here, right? Point is, the more things change, the more things stay the same. Right. It's Jay, it's Samuel, Zayn. They're the guys that are the engine of this thing. They're the guys that are making this thing cool again. And come November, they're going to be the guys that make all the segments that they're in interesting. So I will say this, Joe. I am happy that I like Jey Uso again because I grew to kind of resent him, as you remember, back in the springtime.
You did, which was very mad because he beat Little Ilya Dragunov, the cruiserweight, who does the faces, which was I thought was kind of shallow of you, but what are you going to do?
It was the Mania match, and like it was. Well,
that fucking sucked. You know I mean?
Like, it just April to like June, I was like, this guy fucking sucks. You know, like he fucking sucks, and he sucks. But he's cool again, and he's cutting great promos. And regarding the AEW side of this, dude, have you guys noticed that like every babyface now in AEW, like their personality is like, I love AEW and I will fight for AEW. And before I signed with AEW, I had $3 in my pocket and I was eating rats in the streets. And now with AEW, like I can pay.
Adam Cole playing that card was outrageous, dude.
It was like parody. It was like,
yeah.
Not mind you, I reported on like a recent podcast that Tony Khan assumed all of Jimmy Jacobs' creative responsibilities, and like you can fucking tell because every character's now just like, you know, like
out of the frying pan and into the fire.
You pull a wind-up doll and it's like, hey Dante, what's your personality? I fight for AEW and I love AEW. All right, hey Dana, what's up?
And Andy, this is what we're suggesting to you, because Ibou and I have found this to be helpful. I don't know how the guys feel, but this is just where we stand. We have found solace, safety, and peace in the Hurt Syndicate, who are going to slowly but surely block off a quarter of this show. It's going to be the single part of the show where the real runs.
And they're not going to be fucking
real
geeks.
Shit with real wrestlers kicking ass and taking names, and we're locked in. Andy, we suggest.
Did you see when Bobby Lashley came out and MVP almost slipped on the stairs?
Yes. Why did no one gift that or anything, dude? He nearly lost his entire. He fell over entirely.
Because if they gift that, they knew that MVP would send shooters at their home. Yeah. Could you? And here's the other thing. There's comfort in knowing that Will Washington will never write Swerve to say, well, you know what, Bobby? You're not gonna come into AEW, my home. The company I love, the company that changed my life.
That's fucking good, bro.
With the swerve flash.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. You know, like he's not gonna do that, thankfully.
Yeah.
You know, he's just gonna say something really long-winded that'll end up leading to a Who's House kind of segue. You know.
I'm so ready. Shelton Benjamin kicked one of those security guys' head off. Bob, Shelton Benjamin, you were right all along.
Yeah, he rules, man. He's having a great run.
Yeah. I'm hoping we get like a hilarious anti-Fed line in their first promo.
It would just be, we're back in business. And with Bobby Lashley and Swerve, I'll let y'all know. Y'all go see some niggas on this show. Or something. You're like, wait, whoa, what? Huh? What?
It cuts to Shivani looking startled.
No, what it would actually be.
If MVP pulled a New Jack, I would pop huge.
Dude, he's done it before, bro.
Yes.
Like,
I didn't know that.
Shivani's got the Mike Myers face.
Yeah.
The thing is, Shivani, what he's actually gonna do, you're just gonna hear him like make a noise on commentary. You're just gonna hear like, oh, or like, oh, something like that.
Yeah. On TNA TV, MVP was at fucking Universal Studios and did that. Dropped the N-bomb and like he was like, "You call us thugs," and you could see families like, "This is an interesting television production."
People have never seen TNA, and they're like, wow, "What's happening?" Oh my god, he's just it's gonna be. MVP's gonna say, "Here's the thing about business. I'm not gonna call him a wise man, but a certain man once told me it's all about the game and how you play it. Well, I played the game," and you're gonna hear the crowd like, "Yeah, AEW. Oh man!
As long as Bobby Lashley don't get the book, we're cooking, bro. We're gonna be fine. That's
Green Bamager's gonna post a clip and be like, "Oh shit, he fucking went there," you know.
Next week in the Wednesday Night War, MVP burns an NXT flag in the middle of the ring.
Let's fucking go.
All right. We have a couple of chats here. Will Super Chat, who's the next women's star WWE would go after? Who else is out there, dude? They just got some big ones. Obviously Jordan's implied. So
I was gonna say if we're assuming Jordan's already there.
Kind of, yeah.
I don't know.
Who else? Who else is out there, Ibou?
That they should pursue?
Just like names that are in, not that they should pursue as much as that are in that kind of orbit that like you wouldn't be surprised if they made the jump.
Well, Miyu Yamashita is living paycheck to paycheck, so if they ever wanted to just throw money at her to leave TJPW, she would literally just do it. Is that something that they would pursue? I have no clue. But there's her. If they wanted to be perverse, they could go into the UK scene and ask Alex Windsor if she was interested, or Danny Luna.
What's happening with Megan Bain?
I don't know, Joe. You know what
does anyone know? Seriously, does anyone know?
No, nobody really knows. No. I don't think Tony Khan knows. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Don't ask me how I know that. But you ask people in AEW, 3 people will give you different answers. She follows WWE ID. I don't know what's happening, Joe. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Did you know, Joe? Did you realize, guys, that? Did you guys see that tweet? The hashtag, the number 20 hashtag WWID picture with the eyes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So people thought it was just some like jackass named Charlie something or whatever the fuck, and then people realized that the eye scar matches Tim Thatcher's.
No way. You're fucking kidding me. Please tell me you're joking, right? Are they just paying Tim Thatcher's bills so he can go and do mat wrestling?
I mean, I could see William Regal and Gabe being like, you know, that's Tim Thatcher. You know, you can really play.
They all come into the office with their list of prospects, and Gabe's sitting there sweating bullets, and he goes, "Fellas, we got to do right by Timothy Thatcher."
They just told Tim, like, work this kid and let us know what you think of him, you know?
I mean, honestly, there's worse things you could do with your money, right? Fuck it.
And then, here's the thing. We all know the hidden secret WWID guy is going to be like Gulak or some shit, you know, just like stretching out some poor bloke in the, you know.
Well, I won't comment on that, nor should you, but let's do this message from Lord Lambo, and then let's do some plugs and get on out of here.
Wait, I wanted to say something about Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes? What about him? Is he wrestling tomorrow? Gunther up here. What do you want to say about Cody Rhodes? Ibou, go for it.
Well, I kind of have forgot some of it. I had a whole spiel prepared, but I do just want to say, I did right. But I just wanted to say, fucking like, the TV segments of these guys, just to expand, because that super chat I sent, I literally had to like erase like a paragraph because I realized that to send it that to send you guys $100. Fuck that. Right? I was like, no, never. Fuck that. Seriously though, like this concept is like horseshit. Like this fucking 2 champions, 1 ring, Saudi Arabia belt, and then they walk away with the ring. I'd look at that and scoff and say, go fuck yourself. And most fans heard that at Bad Blood and completely hand-waved this whole program. And the truth is, right underneath every fan's noses, in my personal opinion, this is the most interesting and narratively dense stuff that they're doing on the TV, but nobody notices because the immediate reaction is, it's just for the bullshit Saudi filler bullshit. I watch the shows with my brother, Joe. I tell you this all the time. And anytime their segment comes up, he's like, filler, whatever, fuck that, right? But the truth is, and some of my opinion here is informed by Cody's interview with Andrew Schultz, but because he kind of touches on some of what he's doing right now. But the truth is, Gunther 2 weeks ago or last week basically shone a light on the myth of Cody Rhodes. And because Cody was talking about, being the guy that wanted to do the Cena schedule and being this and that and all, and the ideal champion man of the company, right? And Gunther basically exposed that like he can be just as great, like legacy wise and this and that, without having to do that. And he basically broke down exactly why Kevin Owens turned on him. And everything he said was totally true. Like just why Kevin, and he basically said like you're everybody's friend, which is why you're actually nobody's friend. And he just broke down how he's phony and how he's artificial and so on and so forth, right? The bottom line being, this creates the seed of doubt in Cody Rhodes. This will lead to some personal character development for him. And even though this belt means absolutely nothing, the Saudi Arabian belt, the result of this match means a lot because, like you guys touched on, it's going to be validating for Gunther in terms of actually establishing that his belt is on the same level, which you could always use. It'll mean a lot for Cody Rhodes too, because I think this is going to facilitate some kind of change of some kind for him. I don't know what that actually entails, but it looks to be that way based on how they kind of framed it, because Gunther is telling him all about himself, and he's selling it like, what the fuck? Like he's like surprised to hear this from anybody. But from that framing, and just also the when Cody invoked the names of guys like Bockwinkel and some of the great champions from the past, I'm actually into this, of course, obviously for the matchup standpoint, but I just wanted to point out that like the build of this has been the best turd polishing I've seen in a long time, because they handed Cody Rhodes absolute garbage and he like figured it out basically.
It sounds interesting. I haven't actually seen any of it.
It's very good. It's really, really good.
Is this one of those things you told me to watch that I didn't? Is that what happened here? Because I haven't seen any of this. This sounds like interesting to me. I don't know.
Joe, the very first segment of this, Cody Rhodes literally went, you didn't see Bockwinkel versus Harley Race. Like you didn't see this guy versus that guy. He's like naming like generational champions from the 80s and 90s. He said, when you did get these matches, you never got a conclusive victor, guys, which is basically code word for, interpromotional dream matches between 2 champions. They never had a finish. And he said, you never got to see Steve Austin versus Bill Goldberg, folks. You're going to see me and Gunther wrestle. And I promise you there will be an ending and a definitive winner to this match. And he basically framed it like, even though this is technically not true, this is total wrestling bullshit. He framed it like, this will be the first time you get to see a dream match between 2 guys in their prime holding belts at the same time. And and you get to see who's conclusively better. And he literally said like the WWF champion didn't face, the NWA World's champion. He literally said the AWA. He mentioned AWA. And he's like, AWA didn't take on Jim Crockett Promotions, Ric Flair, and this and that at the same time when they're both champions. So you never got that. When they clashed, it never had a conclusive ending. It was never satisfying. With me and Gunther, you're going to get that, folks. And it was a really strong, hard sell of that concept.
My God, you're very excited, brother.
It was just good. And what I got annoyed about was Bloodline Twitter didn't give a fuck because they don't know who Nick Bockwinkel is. So like a guy with the Roman Abbey tweeted the promo and was like, what the fuck is he yapping about? Well, of course you don't know, sir, because you started watching wrestling 2 years ago.
All right. Enough with the Bloodline Twitter. I'm not getting. They're friends of mine, dude. I ain't getting involved with it. All right. Speaking of the Bloodline, Lord Lambo, member for 2 months. Thank you very much. Said The Rock showing up to Bad Blood and not coming back since is hilarious in hindsight. It is very funny that he just appeared and that was that. And yeah, what a beast.
Well, like I said, they're dropping hits for Netflix, brother. They're dropping hits.
They're up. I would bet money they're putting the WWF that are like terrified as to the decisions Dwayne will or won't make in the next few months because he has all the cards. Dwayne can do whatever he wants.
You want a random LNG scoop?
I mean, as long as I think we're safe. So yes, but kayfabe and all that.
Okay. Well, all right. I'll say this then.
Okay.
Someone clued in, I would say, right? I was just talking about the plans for the rest of this year, and they were like, "Brother, we're just emptying the clip before Dwayne turns this whole thing on its head in January."
Okay, so I was referencing something similar because that seems to be the vibe right now, and everyone has forgotten because it worked out in the end how fucking insane last year was, or this year, start of this year, where the booker apparently didn't know what the main event of WrestleMania was because Dwayne was just like, "What if it's this?" So. We'll see what happens. It could be a rocky ride. Let's see how it goes. But I'm excited.
What was the song that he played? Oh, it was a hilarious song that he played in his truck when he drove off.
It was Tush by ZZ Top.
That's right. It was.
My God. All right.
Cody on the recent podcast said, "I don't think Rock watched their product when he came in," which is really.
Of course, he has things to do, bro. I barely watch it, and I'm a podcaster. All right, let's do some plugs. Let's go on out of here. Bobby Two Shoes. Bob, was you asleep then, son? What was that? Were you okay?
Hello, no, Bob? I'm here. I was looking at my phone.
Oh, okay. It's okay. I was very concerned.
No.
Bob, what would you like to promote? Do you want to promote your local barber?
No. I don't think so. Grin Grappler, Scott Hall, next Thursday. Fired up for that. Late Night Grin at 1:40 or 1:34 next Friday.
There you go, folks. We don't know what that show is yet. It may be an Ask the Grinners program because we have no idea what to do. So let it play out. I'm going to have an announcement at some point. I'm away this weekend, so I'm going to think about while I'm on a plane like a true businessman does. I'm going to ponder these things, look out the window and think about what I'm doing. Chris, where can people find music and moonsaults, so on and so forth? Your show with Matt, mate, go for it.
musicandmoonsaults.com. Most every Thursday at about 9 p.m. Eastern, my best friend Matt and I go live to talk about wrestling. And now that the Yankees are done, mainly Detroit Lions talk. So check that out. We didn't do a show last night because we were both doing Halloween stuff with the kiddos. So
as you should.
Yeah. And then every Saturday I have a new bass cover dropping. The month of November is going to be all from the Dream Police album by Cheap Trick. So check that out.
What special announcement did I tease? What did I do? Did I tease an announcement? I haven't got one. I hope I didn't.
Yeah, that you were going to be thinking about what we were doing next Friday. But...
Oh, yeah. I don't know what it is yet. I'm just going to, when I figure it out, I'll announce it. I haven't got anything good coming. I haven't got nothing's going on. Actually nothing. I'm not even doing a bit. I just need to figure out what next week's show is. I have no clue.
There isn't a pape coming up or some shit.
No, bro, we're gonna have to do a real show. It's horrible. I need to figure it out.
That feels like when I'm going into a worldwide and I'm like, all right, what fucking happened on the weekend as a pay-per-view? I can just fucking fuck around. And then when there isn't, you're like, shit, I gotta get topics and stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll probably just do a Q&A and let the audience do it for us, to be honest.
How awesome of a bit would it be?
Bob can break down the election results.
Well,
how much you want to bet? There's a non-zero chance this thing is not fully solved by Friday.
Well, we'll see about that. I'm sure Bob can figure it out for us.
Michigan is a swing state.
Bob's our very own Steve Kornacki on the Late Night Grand.
That'll have to be a solo show from Bob with a map behind him. Oracle, what would you like to plug, mate?
So we've got Grinication coming up at the end of the month. We'll put up a poll for that to vote on. We have got the obscurities of the Ruthless Aggression era, the mid card.
Hell yeah.
We might be going 7 or 8 matches deep there, depending. We'll that's a loaded time for mid card graps.
Oh yeah.
Lots of gyms and good shit in there. That'll be probably either the 17th or 24th of the month, 5 p.m. Eastern, depending. We'll decide which Sunday that is, but it'll probably be either the 17th or the 24th. Razor Ramon, November 7th, 9 p.m. Eastern, Grin Grappler, Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. Got some AWA action, some World Wrestling Federation action, some World Championship Wrestling action. and help us decide what the hell we want to do next Friday.
Yes.
If I'm there, which I don't know yet, but
Yeah, I have no clue. I was kind of wondering if I could like skip it, and then I was like, no, because I'm going to definitely skip the Full Gear one, so I need to be there for that. What I might do on the Full Gear one is send in like a video message previewing Roddy and Max. You guys can play that for me.
Joe, be a man and do the.
We got a new lineup now, bro. So you know, got Marcus on the roster. I can fucking kick back and go to bed on a Friday. That'd be beautiful.
You're a piece of shit because now you got all these enthusiastic young guns jacked up to talk about some All Elite Wrestling, and you're like, oh, it's called
awesome. Booking and promoting, brother. The way it's supposed to be done. Speaking of such, Ibou, here's a chance to promote some stuff. What's going on in the land of Ibou Wrestle Purists? What's coming up, brother?
I hate my job more than ever. That has nothing to do with anything. What is going on? Probably gonna watch some like fucking WCW on Sunday. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Oh no, I know what I'm gonna do. If you're into live tweets about Harley Race, I made a note to watch Harley Race versus Jumbo Tsuruta from 1980. So expect to see a really poorly filmed video of me filming my TV or computer screen, where it's just like a sequence of like, I don't know, a forearm or something, and you'll probably hear me go like, oh, or something. I don't know. If that excites you, stay tuned for that on Sunday. Beyond that, what do I have to plug? Wrestle Pierce Worldwide is on Monday, and we will be reviewing Crown Jewel, emanating from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, of course. And beyond that, just follow me at Back at Hangman. Make sure to get out and vote if that's something you want to do. I was gonna do a Trumper bit, but I just let's not do that.
Yeah.
But,
leave it for Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
That was a good bit this week where everyone had to pretend they were concerned about Kurt Angle's politics. You've learned this lesson. Can we stop with this now?
Yeah. I made the joke, but then I thought about it. I was like, who are we kidding? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Anyways, man, you guys will see me around. You can find me.
And not saying you'll be involved in this, though you might be. There is a big video, I'm told, on Novi's channel this weekend, which apparently might be important. So watch that.
Maybe important.
There will be a Crown Jewel Grin along tomorrow on the LNG Gold platform for Grinner Circle and Grinner Gold members. Right now, I don't know who's on that. I know Caden Lee is booked.
I might be available.
Chris Bordar might be available. Sarah goes what the lineup looks like. Bob might stop by.
Listen, if we might find ourselves in a situation, it's 2:30 and Andy El Idolo does a corkscrew tornado to the outside, and I pop in and I just yell or something. I don't know.
We can confirm that at this point, if Ibou's watching the pay-per-view live, he may appear at some point. Basically, is the way it works, right? Have more bad blood, and,
Yeah.
So we're sure we'll have fun. Early show, thank God. It's going to go around 8 hours. So hopefully, we'll get in nice and early, and we'll get home safely, and everything will work out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, folks, I will be out of action on Sunday and Monday. For those of you that are gold members, that's relevant because that's usually around 6 shows worth of output.
Yes.
I will be in Dublin for the house show. If you see me at that house show, feel free to approach me, but only if you have money prepared to pay me. I'm just kidding. You can just say hi. I'm fine with that. But I will be there to see Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa in a street fight. That will no doubt go around 10 minutes and end in a table spot. That's what I'm there to see. Also, LA Knight versus Carmelo Hayes and Nia Jax versus Bayley. So we're getting some big matches in Dublin on Sunday. So I'll be there for that. And then when I get back on Tuesday, I'm going to review that show. I'm told other things are happening on Tuesday, but I'll still review some wrestling matches for you on LNG Gold. All right. I think that's about everything. Well, I think this has been a hell of a time. I appreciate all of you folks. Please do like this video. It helps out a lot. And once we're done here, even leave a comment if you really want to show us some love. Thank you for your support on Wednesday's Halloween special. We're nearing 2,000 views on a program that aired opposite some major sports competition after Dynamite and ended at midnight. So very thankful for that. Support the fellas. Keep grinning. All how. And enjoy this wonderful outro, folks. Good night.